Staffing changes within the Trump administration. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Browder. Well, President Trump is nominating two familiar faces to fill two key roles. Bill Barr is the president's choice to replace Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. If confirmed, this will be the second time he will serve in that role. From 1991 through the end of his term in '93, Barr headed the Justice Department for the late President George H.W. Bush. Today, President Trump expressed his confidence in the nominee.
A terrific man, a terrific person, a brilliant man. I did not know him until recently when I went through the process of looking at people. And he was my first choice from day one, respected by Republicans and respected by Democrats.
And the president has also named his choice to fill the top U.S. role at the United Nations.
Somebody that we know very well who's done a great job at as working with Mike Pompeo and others over at the State Department. Heather Nauert will be nominated. She's going to work with Nikki Haley to replace Nikki at the United Nations. She'll be ambassador to the United Nations.
And Nauert has served at the State Department as the spokesperson since April of 2017. In her time there, she's also been named Acting Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. Before joining the State Department, Nauert worked as a journalist for Fox News. And there are also reports tonight of a potential shakeup in the West Wing. Multiple news outlets say Chief of Staff John Kelly is heading for the exit. He's expected to leave his position in the next few days. Kelly joined the Trump administration as the Secretary of Homeland Security back in January of 2017. 6 months later, he replaced President Trump's first Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus. And here to help us all unpack this is CBN News Chief Political Analyst David Brody. David, we have heard this before. Do you think Kelly is really leaving this time?
Yeah, I think so, Jenna. I don't think there's any question about it. And we have heard this for a while now. But beyond the fact that there are just too many reports out there that would suggest that this is going to happen, there's a few other things in mind. Let's remember, John Kelly is a Marine four-star general. Donald Trump kind of wings it and goes with his gut instinct. That doesn't play well with Marine four-star generals, and I think there has always been that rub. I can tell you a personal anecdote. I've been in the Oval Office 3 times now. There was one time where I was actually going in there to talk to him about a book I wrote. There was John Kelly ushering me in. The next time I went in the Oval Office, there was no John Kelly, and the reason I bring that up is because over time, it seems like John Kelly's kind of thrown up his hands and said, look, Trump is going to do what Trump is going to do, and we started to see that John Kelly wasn't having as much of the making sure the gatekeeper role that he had early on.
Now, if he does leave, David, what are you hearing about who might replace him?
Well, it could be Nick Ayers. We've heard about him before. 36 years old. And by the way, Jenna, a multimillionaire also, I should tell you, because this guy's very successful. Republican Governors Association. He was the executive director of that. He knows a lot of Republicans in a lot of places and a lot of states. He's very political. He's also Mike Pence's chief of staff. And so you would think that there would be some camaraderie there. And indeed, apparently, President Trump and Nick Ayers do get along. Jenna, you know Nick. I do as well. And he's very likable. He's a guy that is not going to probably ruffle too many feathers, but at the same time, you also don't want to mess around with him because he has that side to him as well.
Kelly, he's been seen as someone who can really be a stabilizing force in that West Wing. David, do you think Nick Ayers could also fill that role?
Yeah, I think there's a potential for that. Look, he has the support of Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, which, of course, is a good head start. And anytime you have that, you could have a stabilizing force as well. But I think the key glue here is Mike Pence. Mike Pence and Nick Ayers kind of come as a package deal. Obviously, we know the president loves Mike Pence. And when you put the two together, Nick Ayers might be the sweet spot in the middle. We'll see.
All right, let's talk about the Attorney General, Bill Barr. Unanimously approved by the Senate during Bush 41's administration. David, what do you think? Will that be the case this time around? Will he see bipartisan support?
Well, I have to tell you, Jenna, I think this is a shrewd pick by the president. I mean, remember Bill Barr, who worked for, who was it? President 41, George H.W. Bush. Democrats just spent a week lauding 41. And here comes President Trump saying, you know what, I'm going to pick an attorney general under 41. So what are Democrats supposed to do now? Say, well, he was good for President Bush back then, but he's not good for President Trump today? I think it puts him in a tough spot, and you've got to get the votes there. Now, he only needs 50, and they have 53 Republicans, so he should be fine. But I think it's overall a pretty good pick.
Yeah, Nikki Haley over at the UN has been a real force. What's your take on the president's choice of Heather Nauert to replace her?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. For a communicator-in-chief, he picks a pretty good communicator over at the State Department. Look, she's tough as nails, and you and I know that. We were over at the State Department with Mike Pompeo when I had a chance to sit down and interview him, and there was Heather Nauert, and boy, she keeps those trains running, and she doesn't mess around. So anybody that thinks that this is some sort of Fox News personality that doesn't have the heft for the international stage may have another thing coming. I think she's got a lot of that Nikki Haley, that inner Nikki Haley in her. We'll have to find out. It'll be interesting to watch because she'll have a lot of challenges right from day one.
Yeah, David, many people, of course, in the Christian community have been really supportive of Nikki Haley, especially the stance that she's taken toward Israel and her support of that country. Do you think Nauert will have that same kind of reception among Christians?
Well, she's going to have to earn it, and it's a good question. It's a question we asked the International Religious Freedom Ambassador, Sam Brownback, at the State Department. We had a chance to speak with him about Heather Nauert, and specifically this idea that will she be good on Israel? Will she be tough with supportive for evangelicals? Have a look.
She'll be a staunch supporter of Israel. She is. She was as a spokesperson here. The move of the embassy, our embassy, to Jerusalem, it was a mammoth thing. And the president, God bless him for doing it, did it when other presidents before him wouldn't do it, said they wouldn't and wouldn't do it. He did it. She stood up there and defended the ground because there's a lot of media and people around the world pushing against that. It's the right thing to do. There are other countries following suit now. And she's going to be a strong supporter of Israel. She has already been.
What about some of the critics who say the experience? Obviously, it's not necessarily there, but they want to ding her for that.
You could say that about the last person in that job, Nikki Haley, who she and I served as governors together. I said, well, what does she know about foreign affairs? She jumped right into it, did a fantastic job, schooled herself on the issues, was again the strong voice for the United States.
Jenna, that word voice came up, I counted it 5 times in our pretty quick conversation. The point is that Heather Nauert, according to Sam Brownback, will be a very strong voice, and you need that voice on the world stage, and Donald Trump knows a thing or two about a voice.
And a lot of support from Mike Pompeo as well. All right, David, thank you.
Thanks, Jenna.
Well, President Trump went on a Twitter tirade today against Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. In one of a handful of tweets, the president claimed Mueller and leaking lion James Comey are best friends, calling it a conflict of interest in the case and, once again, a witch hunt. The president also tweeted that once the Mueller report is finished, a counter report will be released, tweeting, an investigation like the one he's facing shouldn't happen to a future president. Well, despite recent backing from the president, new criminal justice reform legislation may be in jeopardy. With little time left in this lame duck Congress, the window is closing to get a bill passed. As Abigail Robertson reports, many lawmakers say it's now or never to approve the measure.
Lawmakers say the time is now or never to pass a criminal justice reform bill that's sitting in the Senate waiting on a vote. It's major legislation with the goal of trying to make sure people don't end up back in prison.
Leader McConnell has said that he does not know if he will have time to bring it to the floor by the end of this year. What is your response to that?
My response to it is that he has a very legitimate reason that he wants to get judges through. We can work on judges next year because Republicans control the Senate. Whereas if we don't do this bill and Democrats come in and control the House, we're not going to get the broad bipartisan support that we have for this.
The bill has already passed the House, and Grassley believes more than 75 senators would vote yes if it makes it to the Senate floor. He worries if it's delayed until next year, it's over. Lawmakers have a lot to do before the end of the year, including paying for border security. Grassley is confident lawmakers can avoid a partial government shutdown simply because he says it costs a lot of money to open and close the government.
I don't think with a fiscal situation in our country, we should do anything as stupid as shutting down the government.
A few senators, like James Lankford, are working to permanently remove the threat of these shutdowns.
When you're constantly fighting about a government shutdown, then you're always distracted over what the real issues are.
Lankford introduced a bill that would require the previous year's funding to kick in until Congress passes a budget, and only punishes lawmakers for missing their deadline.
Congress has to be able to stay here and to be able to get its work done, rather than it's not done, so we do these government shutdown fights or extensions, and the American people go through all the turmoil. Let's put the pressure where the pressure needs to be.
Congress has until December 21st to fund the rest of the government. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, James Ackerman of Prison Fellowship and Mark Holden of Koch Industries join us now for more. Both of you, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You know, I know this is an issue that is very important to both of you. Just real quickly, tell us about your respective organizations and how they are involved in this big push.
So Prison Fellowship is the largest Christian nonprofit dedicated to serving incarcerated men and women, those returning to society from prison, and their families. And Chuck Colson, who founded Prison Fellowship, and who, as you know, got caught up in the Watergate scandal and served a prison sentence himself for that before starting Prison Fellowship, was hugely passionate about giving a voice to people who are largely marginalized and forgotten, which is people who are incarcerated. So Prison Fellowship advocates for fair justice in the justice system and works very closely with Mark and many of his colleagues to push that forward.
Yeah, and Koch Industries also very invested.
Absolutely. It's a big issue for us. We're very focused, and Charles Koch, our CEO, is very focused on this issue and on breaking barriers to opportunity, generally speaking. And we see the criminal justice system in this country as a huge barrier to opportunity for millions and millions of people, particularly those who have the least resources. And it creates a poverty trap. It makes us less safe and wastes a lot of resources, both human potential and monetary resources. So we're very focused on trying to make the system better, fairer, safer for everybody, and also be redemptive.
There's talk of a multi-prong approach here in terms of tackling this problem. How important, though, is legislation?
It's hugely important. One, just from a programming perspective, the First Step Act, which is before the soon to be before the Senate potentially, is all about, in part, delivering more programming into the federal system and implementing a more restorative approach to criminal justice. People do need to be punished when they commit a crime, and they need a sentence that's proportionate to their crime. But the second they step into the criminal justice system, we want to see them put on a path that helps them become healthier and more productive citizens. Because 95% of people who go to prison will return to our communities, and we want them returning to our communities as safer people.
Now, Mark, what kind of support are you seeing from lawmakers?
Well, it's at the federal level. At the state level, as you know, for the last 10 or 15 years, they've been revitalizing and reforming their criminal justice systems, Texas, South Carolina, and Georgia. It's taken a longer time to get there at the federal level. At the federal level now, it seems to be everything is coming together. President Trump is fully on board. He's fully on board with prison reform. He's fully on board with the sentencing reform issues as well that the Senate has introduced. The House of Representatives, passed this bill 360 to 59. In this incredibly polarized environment we're in, that flew through the House, and a lot of our good friends, I think every one of the Freedom Caucus members voted for it. So we've got that in the Senate. We've got broad support from Republicans and Democrats. This is the time to do it, and it's called the First Step Act for a reason. We haven't had any real reforms other than the Fair Sentencing Act a few years ago that have made our system less punitive and more redemptive. This is going to be a big first step, and that means after that there's going to be more to do. So we're very excited, and this is the time to do it, and we're hopeful we get it done this year.
Yeah, it's nice to see that bipartisanship. It's rare here in Washington. This next question for you, James, how is the faith community involved in this, and what role do churches and other organizations have to play?
Absolutely. We actually worked with the Charles Koch Institute to pilot a program, a curriculum that we distributed to churches called Outrageous Justice to help better educate the church community on the importance of taking this issue seriously. Remember, in Matthew 25, Jesus himself calls us to visit the imprisoned, right? In Hebrews, we're called to visit those in prison as if we are serving time with them, right? This is close to the heart of our Lord, and it needs to be close to the church, the capital C church community, because we are one body in Christ, and our brothers and sisters in the Lord in prison need to be part of that body.
Yeah, so the big question is, can it get past the Senate? Mark, what do you think? How hopeful are you?
Very hopeful. I think right now it would, with the votes we have right now that we're aware of, the hard yeses, combined Democrats and Republicans, we would get more than 60 votes. And I think that that's going to just more and more pick up momentum with some tweaks that could be coming to the bill to get more people on. So we're very optimistic about it, and it needs to happen. It has to happen. And everybody that we've dealt with, by and large, there's a couple of outliers, but by and large, everybody is trying to get to yes on this because they know how important it is, and they come from states where it's worked, and it's really saved people's lives, made communities safer, made law enforcement safer, and reduced incarceration rates, reduced recidivism, and also freed up resources for other things that are needed, like K through 12 education. So in the states it's worked, and we're going to see that happen at the federal level as well.
Yeah, and Prison Fellowship on Thursday night, Mark, awarded you with the Charles Colson Award. Tell us a little bit about that.
So each year we issue 5 awards. One of them is the Charles Colson Advocate of Hope Award. The governor of Kentucky, Governor Bevin, nominated Mark for the award, and it was really a wonderful night last night, celebrating his work, his passion for criminal justice. This man has played a role in federal campaigns and state campaigns all over the country to implement a more restorative approach to criminal justice, and so we had the chance to honor him.
Well, congratulations. And both of you, wonderful. This is such an important cause, and one that I know you've both worked very, very hard on. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Wall Street woes, what the turbulent market means for the American economy.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain or knee pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace or knee brace covered by Medicare at little to absolutely no cost to you.
Call 800-358-5058 right now to see if you qualify.
These professional-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, spinal disorders, stenosis, and other painful back problems. Our medical-grade durable knee braces are designed for those with osteoarthritis and general knee pain and weakness. Our accredited staff will handle all of the Medicare paperwork, and best of all, your braces shipped directly to your home for free. Will you qualify for a Medicare-covered back brace or knee brace? There's only one way to find out.
Call the Back and Knee Brace Center at 800-358-5058. That's 800-358-5058.
Are you or a loved one between the ages of 50 to 80 years old? If you are younger than 80 years old, do you receive Social Security, Disability, or Medicare? If you answered yes, you may qualify for $30,000 in funeral insurance for only pennies a day. The average funeral costs around $11,000, and Social Security only pays $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance. Call now to see if you qualify for $30,000 in funeral expense coverage from Senior Legacy Life. Your rate will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and there is no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing disease or illness. Don't be a financial burden to your family. Lock in your rate by completing an application over the phone right now. Will you qualify for funeral insurance up to $30,000 for only pennies a day? Find out for free by calling Senior Legacy Life.
Call 1-800-914-7690. That's 1-800-914-7690. 1-800-914-7690.
Bring home a miracle this holiday season with Superbook's newest episode, Jesus Feeds the Hungry.
I have never seen a miracle this great.
Superbook Jesus Feeds the Hungry. Yours when you join the Superbook Club. And if you act by December 31st, you'll receive 3 copies of The First Christmas is Our Way of Saying Thanks. Plus, call now to receive 3 copies of the all-new Superbook Fun-Filled Activity Book. Jesus Feeds the Hungry. Available now.
Well, it's been a rough week on Wall Street, and today that trend continued as the Dow Jones Industrials average took a dive. The Dow was down about 560 points at the close of trading, bringing it overall drop this week to more than 1,000 points. The S&P was down more than 4%. For the week. All of this begs the question, what is behind this roller coaster ride? Is it a slowdown for our booming economy, or are we looking at a possible recession?
No, this is no recession. Look, if you look at the fundamentals of the economy, look at manufacturing, look at construction, actually look at corporate earnings. Those have been very strong, which, you know, is moving in a different direction than the stock market is. So I think the economy is really strong.
Stephen Moore, an economist with the Heritage Foundation and an economic advisor to the Trump campaign, is optimistic and points to two main factors. First, the trade friction with China.
I think the problem has been investors are spooked by the inability of China and the United States to get a trade deal done. And it looked like we had a trade deal done this weekend, and then China started backpedaling from that. And I think that's really given the heebie-jeebies to the stock market.
The second concern, rising interest rates. On that front, Moore points his finger at the Federal Reserve.
The economy was flying high back 2 months ago, and then the Fed started to announce this constant increase in interest rates, which is just sucking the oxygen out of the economy. The Fed has to reverse course and actually put some oxygen in the economy, keep it going.
His advice.
I always tell people, when you see a slide in the stock market like we've seen over the last few days, where you've seen about a 1,200 point decline in stock values, you don't want to sell your stock because then you're selling low. What you want to do in stocks is sell high. And so people get panicked and they sell when the market is falling, and that's the opposite to what you want to do.
And looking ahead these next couple of weeks, Moore says one more factor could be the budget and whether or not President Trump and Congress can work out an agreement. A final farewell to the 41st President of the United States when we come back.
Do you support the president? Do you support Trump's tax plan? Are you concerned it will affect your retirement income in a post-Trump era?
Help protect your financial future and call Annuity General for your complimentary book. From a leading financial firm that shows you ways to not run out of money, whether the market goes up or down. This free book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can protect your money for a lifetime. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits of annuities from hundreds of top-rated insurers, helping you find ways to get up to 33% more income in retirement. Invaluable advice for an uncertain age. That's right, 2 books both absolutely free for calling Annuity General. Help protect your financial future.
Call 800-216-0342. That's 800-216-0342. Call now.
Attention! If you currently do not get health insurance through your employer, or if you do not have health insurance, or if you just got divorced or married, had a baby, moved, or lost your health insurance coverage, listen closely. You are eligible for a new health care plan using Health Insurance America. A family of 4 can make up to $97,000 a year and still qualify for a new health care plan. Get coverage for doctor visits, prescriptions, hospital, dental, and vision for as little as $25 a week with copays as low as $0. Health insurance rates have nearly doubled in the last 3 years. Stop paying the rising cost of traditional major medical and learn how Health Insurance America is saving people thousands of dollars a year on their health care plans. Don't waste hours on the phone or on a government website. Talk to a live healthcare consultant right now.
Call 1-800-940-5020. That's 1-800-940-5020. 1-800-940-5020.
people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Much of America paused this week to honor the life and legacy of President George Herbert Walker Bush. And after a final day of moving tributes, laughter, and tears, the 41st president has been laid to rest. Jennifer Wishon has more on his remarkable journey to his final resting place in Texas.
For his final trip, George Herbert Walker Bush chose a mode of transportation befitting one of the last presidents of the greatest generation. A train bearing his name. Thousands of Texans lined the rails to honor 41 as he traveled to his final destination, the Bush Presidential Library in College Station.
It's just an honor to be here. He served our country for so many years.
It was a peaceful journey that began in Houston at St. Martin's Church. Amazing grace. A final service to say goodbye. At the same place, the Bush family gathered in April to remember their mother and grandmother, Barbara. In heaven. Bush's Secretary of State and dear friend James Baker was with him when he died.
We rejoice, Mr. President, that you are safely tucked in now and through the ages with God's loving arms around you. Because our glory, George, was to have had you as our president and as such a friend.
His grandson and namesake, George P. Bush, offering yet another heartwarming glimpse into the life of 41.
In a typical day, he'd wake up around 5 a.m. to review security briefings and grab his first coffee of the day. When the coast was clear, all the grandkids would try our best to snag a spot on the bed and nestle up between him and Ganny while they read the paper.
On to College Station. One final hail to the chief, and the largest missing man formation ever, with 21 fighter jets honoring the former Navy pilot. Bush now rests alongside his wife of 73 years, his silver fox that he called Bar, and his daughter Robin, who the couple lost to leukemia when she was 3. Now, as 41's remarkable life of service comes to an end, for his family,
God bless you, Gampy, until we meet again.
And Americans everywhere, this final farewell is bittersweet.
It's happy because George Herbert Walker Bush gets to be with his wife, but it's sad because, well, we don't have him anymore.
Amen. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
And this weekend, the CBN News Channel will rebroadcast Bush 41's memorial service at the National Cathedral. You can see it Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. For more information on how to find the CBN News Channel in your area, check out our website, cbnnews.com. Well, that is going to do it for Faith Nation. Have a great weekend.